What's up, my comic comrades? The latest film entry into the Wizarding world hits theaters today with Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, and it looks glorious. So this week we put on our Wizarding robes to highlight two of the main characters appearing in the movie, Albus Dumbledore and Gellert Grindelwald. We posted our History of Dumbledore episode a couple of days ago, which you could catch right here. But before we break out the flu powder, we want to thank Keeps for sponsoring today's episode. For some of us guys, we see our hair start to magically disappear by the time we reach 35 years old. So if you're looking to prevent your muggle hair from donning an invisibility cloak, you need to get yourself set up with Keeps. Just go to keeps.com/variant comics and start by setting up a time to talk with one of Keeps wizards. I mean licensed doctors online, and get your consultation without ever having to visit a doctor's office. Using Keeps' clinically proven research-backed process to stop hair loss and improve hair growth, your Keeps physician will help you choose the right products and treatments for you. Next, you'll skip the lines at the pharmacy as well, because your treatment will be delivered right to your front door every 3 months. And as an added bonus, you'll get an extra 50% off your first order just by using our link. Anyway, once you get your treatments in hand, all you have to do is follow your prescribed plan and start tracking your progress. Think of Keeps as your counter curse to hair loss, but don't procrastinate, because the sooner you get started with Keeps, the sooner you'll start to see results. Keeps will also be right there with you along the way with 24/7 access to their network of expert medical advisors, prescribers, and care specialists who will answer any questions you might have. They make it easier than growing bones back, I'll tell you that. So join the hundreds of thousands of men who already trust Keeps for their hair loss prevention, because hair loss stops with Keeps. Just go to keeps.com/variant comics or click our link in the description to get 50% off your first order of hair loss treatment. Again, that's keeps.com/variant comics. You can thank us later. So now it's time to give the spotlight to the big bad of the movie and Dumbledore's former best friend, Gellert Grindelwald. This dark wizard was an extremely powerful and charismatic leader, who was also considered to be one of the most powerful and dangerous wizards of all time. Only second to the one who shall not be named, Lord Voldemort. But let's dive in and get an idea of exactly how he earned that reputation. Grindelwald was a student at Durmstrang Institute, which is one of the 3 largest wizarding schools in Europe, the other 2 being Beauxbaton's Academy and, of course, Hogwarts. Anyway, after a series of dark experiments and near-fatal attacks on other students, Grindelwald was expelled from the Durmstrang Institute. Shortly after, however, he began his friendship with the one and only Albus Dumbledore. This close and eventually romantic relationship made it easy for Grindelwald to initially influence and manipulate Dumbledore into helping him search for the Deathly Hallows, so that once they were found, Grindelwald could lead a wizarding revolution and bring an end to the International Statute of Secrecy. Grindelwald convinced Albus that this would in turn create a global hierarchical order that would be led by wise and powerful wizards and witches, who would rule over muggles to make sure they couldn't cause any more damage to the world, which of course is similar to the delusions of genocidal madmen throughout history. What could go wrong? Now I know what some of you are thinking: how could the great and honorable Dumbledore, the Superman of wizards, align himself with such a tyrant? Well, early on he was blinded by love. In fact, many years later, Dumbledore explained himself to Harry, saying, "Grindelwald, you cannot imagine how his ideas caught me, Harry. Inflame me, muggles forced into subservience. We wizards triumphant. Grindelwald and I, the glorious young leaders of the revolution. Oh, I had a few scruples. I assuaged my conscience with empty words. It would all be for the greater good, and any harm done would be repaid 100-fold in benefits for wizards." Did I know in my heart of hearts what Gellert Grindelwald was? I think I did, but I closed my eyes. Crazy, right? Anyway, once Dumbledore saw the light at the age of 17 and their partnership/relationship fell apart, with Dumbledore having now turned against him and actively seeking to stop him, Grindelwald took on Albus and his brother Aberforth in a duel. However, the intense battle ended with the death of Dumbledore's sister, Ariana. At this point, Grindelwald would leave Britain and eventually steal the Elder Wand, continuing solo with the revolution he and Dumbledore had planned. We actually see a young Grindelwald briefly with the Elder Wand in a flashback sequence in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. I really dig how the Harry Potter films are tying into the Fantastic Beasts films so nicely. It makes the movie experience that much better. I can't wait to see what the Secrets of the Dumbledore movie reveals, as we're going to Hogwarts once again. At this point, it's important to note that Gellert Grindelwald is an extremely complex figure who is incredibly dangerous and talented, and this is evident in both the books and movies. His dedication to achieve his goals at any cost allows him to justify, in his mind, operating outside of the law with his cult-like followers who will also do anything he says, including commit murder. Add it all up and you have one of the most dangerous characters in the wizarding world. Again, he is second only to Voldemort. Dumbledore and Grindelwald would eventually meet again years later and confront each other in a legendary duel, a battle that everyone knows Dumbledore won. We're actually going to see how this played out in these upcoming Fantastic Beasts films. No, that's not a spoiler. If you've read the Harry Potter books or seen the films, which are many years old now, they tell us that happened. Not only that, but we see that when Dumbledore beat him, he imprisoned Grindelwald for years until he was finally visited by Voldemort in prison to ask for the location of the Elder Wand. Grindelwald tells him it's buried with Dumbledore, but Voldemort, didn't like that answer and killed him. But that right there is pretty much the cliff-noted summary of Grindelwald's origin and backstory, all the way up to his imprisonment and death, with most of his big story points taking place in the Fantastic Beasts franchise, with the books and movies acting as prequels to the Harry Potter books and films. As such, they give us the foundational mythology of what went down in the Wizarding World decades before Harry ever set foot in Hogwarts. In fact, before we wrap up, let's take a quick look at how Grindelwald was introduced to us in the first Fantastic Beasts film. The movie introduces us to the British wizard Newt Scamander, and he's not just an ordinary wizard, he's a magizoologist. In fact, he's the reason why the franchise is called Fantastic Beasts, since the main character's passion is the understanding and protection of many magical creatures that are going extinct. Anyway, long story short, Newt comes to New York City for magizoologist reasons, but things quickly go south when one of his creatures called a Niffler escapes from his magic suitcase. This gets him in trouble with the Magical Congress of the United States when they discover he's breaking their magical laws. One thing leads to another, and the Director of Magical Security, Percival Graves, accuses Newt of conspiring with the infamous Dark Wizard, Gellert Grindelwald, at which point he sentences Newt to death. Throughout the film, we see that Graves is working with a character called Credence Barebone. Credence is the adopted son of Mary Lou Barebone, an abusive magic-hating extremist. The reason Graves is working with and manipulating Credence is because Credence is helping him find an Obscurus, which has been wreaking havoc all over New York. For those of you unfamiliar with an Obscurus, it's a dark parasitic force created by magical children who are forced to repress their wizarding abilities. This ultimately corrupts the magic inside them, creating this powerful parasitic force. Anyway, we eventually learn that Credence is the host of the Obscurus, and he attacks New York City, exposing the wizarding world to the Muggles. This forces the Magical Congress of the United States to intervene and seemingly destroy Credence, although Newt sees a little piece of him get away. But it's here that Graves finally reveals his true interest with the Obscurus. He admits his plan is to unleash it on the No-Maj world and expose the magic community, frame Newt for the incident, and initiate a war between the two worlds. He claims that the Magical Congress laws only protect the No-Mages at the expense of the magical community, and he no longer cares to live in hiding. When he tries to get away, Newt captures him with one of his beasts, at which point we get the big reveal that Graves is actually Grindelwald in disguise. That leads us to Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. To sum this up pretty quickly, the movie opens up in 1927, with the Magical Congress of the United States of America transferring Grindelwald to Europe to stand trial. But guess what? Grindelwald escapes. Who would have thunk it? We also see Dumbledore ask Newt to find Credence, who, as I mentioned, escaped at the end of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. He asks Newt for help because he believes that Credence is Leta Lestrange's long-lost half-brother, Corvus Lestrange IV. As far as Grindelwald, the story follows him as he prepares to enact his plan to dominate both the wizarding and Muggle worlds. We see Grindelwald present a vision of a future global war to his followers and rails against the laws for prohibiting them from preventing such a tragedy. But the big takeaway by the end of the film is that at Hogwarts, Newt presents Dumbledore with a vial that he stole from Grindelwald, which contains a blood pact they made when they were younger. This blood pact would prevent them from doing each other harm. But Dumbledore believes he can figure out a way to destroy it. Elsewhere, we see Grindelwald give Credence a wand and reveal to him that his true name is Aurelius Dumbledore, the long-lost young brother of Albus and Aberforth. And with that, we're left with a massive cliffhanger, which leads us directly into Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. So there you have it, guys, a summary of Gellert Grindelwald's origin from his days in school to his death, as well as a recap of all his story beats from the Fantastic Beasts films. It's going to be a blast to see where he's headed in this brand new Fantastic Beasts film, and I, for one, am extremely excited. We also need to mention that we will have a new actor playing Grindelwald this time around, with Mads Mikkelsen replacing Johnny Depp in the role. I love Depp's version of Grindelwald, but I think Mikkelsen might actually give the character the darker edge he needs. Either way, we're about to find out. So now we want to know what you guys think of Grindelwald and the Fantastic Beasts franchise. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. So that's going to bring today's episode of Variant to a close, but if you enjoyed this video, check out this one right here. And if you like all of our content, subscribe, like, and comment. It always helps us out. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.